Hello, I'm Jon Sermon, church leader in Suffolk. And those of you who saw what I put out yesterday as my first ever attempt at putting a video on YouTube, you already know that I lead two churches in this area. What I will tell you today as well is that I'm also a chair of Churches Together in the part of Suffolk known as the Blythe Valley. And so I'm hoping this will go to churches of all denominations, not just my own. I want to offer encouragement to people because this lockdown is causing us so much challenge and difficulty, and it will affect different people in so many different ways. As far as the life of the church is concerned, you all know that our church buildings are closed down and we can't have people coming and gathering for worship like normal. So we are striving in all the churches to find ways of meeting that need as best we can in these difficult circumstances. In our case, I'm using the Zoom conference calling facility to enable church worship and activities 4 or 5 times a week at the moment. And that's been a steep learning curve from never having done such things before. But I know that not everyone can engage through that, which is brilliant because it's interactive, and having a video posted that you can watch anytime is another way of trying to reach people with encouragement. So I'm recording this on the 75th anniversary of VE Day. And of course, we're all disappointed that the sorts of celebrations that were foreseen and planned for marking that anniversary simply can't take place. So there's been very muted. There's been remembrance services conducted in closed environments and wreaths laid and things like that this morning. They'll be singing along to Vera Lynn this evening on the television. But as I notice what that day signifies, the end of the war as far as Germany and Europe were concerned, though of course we had to wait several months for the final end at VJ Day, and thinking back to how it must have been for people who were alive at the time, I'm aware that the King, our Queen's father, who was then King of England and the United Kingdom, was minded to call the people into prayer at a time of national emergency. Now, in some ways, you may think that what we're facing at the present is nowhere near so severe or stark or extreme as all-out war. But at the same time, it's true that we are in a period of national emergency. Not just national, of course, across most of the world, this coronavirus is having a devastating effect. And I want to reflect that theme of calling the nation to prayer is appropriate today just as it was then. I'd like to tell you something that happened this morning. We had our prayer meeting through Zoom, about 10 people present, and because of the way it works, everyone can contribute, although we try not to talk over each other and so on. And one of our group particularly took us to a verse from the Psalms. It's Psalm 50, and in fact verses 14 and 15. It says this: "Sacrifice thank offerings to God, fulfill your vows to the Most High, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you, and you will honour me." Now, we shouldn't think that that's like a formula, that do this and God will do that. But the theme behind it is that the more we consciously and deliberately turn back to our God, our Creator, offering our thanks to Him, that's what sacrifice as a thanks offering means. Proclaiming openly that we rely on God. It makes an appropriate backdrop for facing such a time of trouble. So God is saying, call on me in your time of trouble. Now that includes worship, that includes prayer, that includes being aware that God has a bigger picture than even we can see. So I want to encourage you, however much you may be beginners at prayer, at calling upon God, in whatever way you can, begin to explore doing so. I was recently asked by someone about their experience of prayer and effectively saying, am I doing it wrong? And I had to explain how we each pray develops as our relationship with God develops through Jesus Christ. And so we can all begin somewhere and we can all find it develops. I had the delight of that same person speaking to me again a couple of days later, saying I was awake in the night and I think I had my best prayer time yet. I want to encourage you all. Try praying. It's what we need. We need as a nation to come back to call on the Lord. Try it and find your own prayer life growing. May God bless you all.